Welcome to the 200 movie challenge. And if you don't know what this series is, basically me and Soto are trying to watch 200 movies that we haven't seen in this calendar year. It's been a journey. We're on episode 6, Soto. Now, I know we've been able to do this
Deep.
weekly, so yeah, we're getting up there. These lists are getting longer.
I can't wait till this gets unwieldy. It's starting to kind of get to that point where I'm like, okay, I don't know. But it's starting to take shape. It's a very early shape, but I can sort of see the shape that it's going into. And again, this is probably the most new movies I've seen in a long time. I mean, definitely for you.
Agreed, 100%. I mean, well, you know what? I mean, it's getting there because we did talk about this last year, and I did a little prep work. I don't know how many movies I saw, but kind of fell apart. So I did see a few.
Yep.
But yeah, the end goal will definitely, be the most new movies I've seen since our blockbuster days. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm wearing
But
my
we have.
Blockbuster hoodie.
Yeah, I need to buy me a T-shirt or a blockbuster hoodie. I gotta get me one of those. But we got 5 movies today, and for once, you kind of beat me. You got 3 movies, I got 2. But either way, 5. It happens. That's the best thing to do about it. But so I'm gonna kind of get the ball rolling. I had some movies planned to watch, because I've been setting them on my watch list, and like, all right, I definitely wanted to see this. Spoiler alert, probably going to come next week, but I want to see that movie Air, with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck about Michael Jordan and how he became.
What?
Yeah. Did you not hear about Air?
No.
Do you not know about this movie?
I don't. No, I have to look it up on Letterboxd. What the?
Yeah, it's about how the whole movie is about him coming out of college, him signing, basically how he signed with Nike. Because originally he wasn't going to. It's on Prime. It's on Prime only. At least that I know of. I know it's on Amazon Prime, and it's been on my radar now for a little while. It came out last year, but it stars Matt Damon. It's on my radar, and I am probably going to do it next week because I realized, so we are recording this on February 13th. Yeah. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day.
It sure is.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? I was looking at my overall list, as I tend to do, and I realized I don't have any kind of romantic comedies or romance movies. I'm like, I need to start diversifying my list a little bit. So I did go gimmicky this week. I'm like, for Valentine's Day, I want to watch 2 movies that are kind of in that genre. And so I went to Netflix, and this is the first movie of 2025 that I've officially seen because I saw it plastered everywhere. It's a rom-com called Kinda Pregnant, starring Amy Schumer.
Yeah, Amy Schumer. Yep, I saw
that.
Yep.
Now, I know she was, the hit comic way back in the day. Like comics are, they come and go, unfortunately. She is definitely more of a raunchy comic. Some people love it, some people don't. This is definitely a raunchy rom-com, which I don't have a problem with if done right, because I did enjoy Bridesmaids from what I remember from way back in the day. But Soto, this movie...
This doesn't sound good.
So let me just set the opening scene for you because I don't think you're gonna go watch this movie. But no. So the whole thing is I think they're in elementary school. Amy Schumer's younger self and her best friend are playing birth or mom, whatever you want to do. Like they're pretending to have birth. They have like their dolls and stuff like that. And her friend's like, "Why do we always have to play mom?" And the young Amy Schumer's like, because being a mom is the best thing in the world. It's so precious, and that's what she wants to be, which is fine. Okay. But they're literally they're sitting like a pregnant woman or giving birth, and they're getting ready to push these babies out for elementary school. So I'm like, okay, this is weird, but that's not even beside the point. The friend's like, she's like, I don't know if I want to be a mom. And then obviously the young Amy Schumer, how can you not, that's, again, the greatest thing ever. And plus, we need to be there for each other when we go through this. We need to learn this now because we have nobody else because our moms are dead. I swear to God, Soto, that was a fucking line by a child in this movie.
To open the movie.
And then all of a sudden, the young Amy, she was like, help, I'm crowning. And then...
God. Sounds graphic to start. Jesus.
For kids. These are kids, Soto. So I'm like, okay, I see where this movie's going. And so the big premise of the story is now, they're older, 30s, late, close to 40s. I don't know the exact age. And her friend, who, that she finds out that she is pregnant, and the guy that Amy Schumer is dating, it's like, hey, it's our anniversary. I'm going to take you out to a special dinner, where the blah, blah, blah. So obviously she's thinking, oh, he's going to propose. It's our 4 years. It's the time. It's right. I can, all that. And so she shows up at the restaurant, and the guy's like, I'm ready to have a threesome. Like, that's it. That exactly, and he doesn't want to settle. But so obviously she leaves him there, and she thinks, her life is falling apart, but she's trying to be there for her friend. She's a little bit pissed that her friend got pregnant first, but she's there like, no, I'm here. I'm supporting you. I love you. You're my best friend. So they go shopping, and she sees like that baby bump thing, and she goes to the dressing room while her friend's off puking, and she's trying it on, and the woman's coming, oh yeah, no, this looks great. And she accidentally puts the baby bump thing in her purse, and then she's out in public with it again, testing it out, and people are like, oh, you look so beautiful, oh, let me help you, because obviously, pregnant woman, you hold the door, everyone's just being nice, like a 15-year-old's like, you're glowing. And so she keeps the baby bump on, and you know how these things go, obviously shenanigans, because she does meet a guy that she does fall in love with, and his sister, who is actually pregnant. This is a Happy Madison film. I was like, okay, I'm in.
Really?
Like, I saw that logo. The guy JP from Grandma's Boy is in it. So I was like, oh, there's some good people in it. But yeah, so this movie had a lot of cringe to it. And not like, when we talk Terrifier 2, some of those kills, you're like, I got to look away. That's a little too much. Like, it was horrible cringe stuff. And I'm like, it was just not for me. And this movie's bad. Like the concepts, a little bit, and I can't remember some of the scenes. So again, she's again wearing the baby bump, and she's going to, because she has to not wear it in front of her, the people that know her, but in front of the new people she met, and she's at another woman's house who's pregnant, who's having her second baby.
I can already see this in my head. Yep.
Yeah, kind of becoming friends, and like they already have a young son who's running around with the knife, and the mom's like, "Get the knife," just like who. They're casually trying to get this real knife, and the kid stabs Amy Schumer in the belly.
Oh my God.
But obviously she's got the baby bump and doesn't feel it. And then she's just pulling it out, and she's looking at him like, shh. And so, yes, it's that kind of movie where...
What will they do when they find out that it's been a farce? Oh my God. And then she has to apologize. And then, there's an understanding, and then she probably ends up pregnant at the end.
No, you were right. Everything up until the pregnant. She gets the guy, because remember, she met a guy who kind of was and I will admit the best part. I mean, there was, again, I did laugh at some parts. I'm not going to lie and say this was like a shit movie. I'm just saying a lot of it was like, oh, like this is not good. But so he drives down because he's a Zamboni driver. And she's a teacher, and he's coming down the road, and I'm like, all right, this is kind of funny. And the spiel, like, he's like, yeah, this is the way you make me feel, I can, I'm sorry, blah blah blah. And they kiss, and then they go on the Zamboni, and then they start driving away and start kissing. And you think it's over, then I laugh, because obviously what real movies don't do is show you what happens afterwards, because since they're kissing, no one's driving, and then they just crash into a bunch of cars, and they're trying to straighten this. So I had to giggle at that part. I did laugh at some parts, but overall, Soto, this was just... it was bad. I will never see it again. The premise is just way out there. I was surprised it was made in like today. Again, I think like early 2000s, when some of these more raunchy comedies were coming out. I'm like, okay, how is this being made? And I'm just like, this is the
same
good
formula though. Like
it is.
It's the same shit. It's just different years, and I get it. It's like the same movies with different comics, right? And the same kind of weird premises and things like that. You absurd premise, and then you kind of hang all the comedic timing on it, right? But you didn't find it really endearing in any sort of way.
No, it had its moments.
It's sweet,
but overall, you think about like if it was supposed to be a good message. I'm like, no, you don't fake a pregnancy. But yes, you're right. Everyone is forgiven. Everyone makes up, and it's all happy. And yes, I was with you, because she does somehow sleep with the guy, because she's like, I'm just so ashamed of my body. So she's like, the only two rules are no lights and no touching. And she puts like oven mitts on his hands, and it's a hilarious scene, because he lives in a garage, and then the garage door opens the world. So it is strange, but she does want him to feel the belly bump, the fake belly bump. But yes, I looked to where I had to place this. And yes, I know I just shit on this a lot, but again, there is some other part. I laughed at some parts. I'm not going to say overall I laughed throughout, but there were some parts I enjoyed.
Sure.
So it's going towards the bottom, but I
Yeah,
will say this:
makes
it
sense.
is going above Lift. So this is like third to last
Wow.
because Lift to me is still a formulatic. There was just nothing new. At least this they tried. Failed it in my eyes. Some people are going to find this funny. Comedy is subjective. If you're into cringe, you're into very, I shouldn't say very raunchy, a little bit raunchy, which I'm okay with. But overall, I'm like, yep, I don't want to see this again. This is not my first real good impression of Amy Schumer because I didn't really watch much of her stand up. I've seen clips and she was okay. I'm not gonna say I love her or hate her. I know, but
She had
I've
her
never.
moment. She was a
Yeah,
thing. Yeah, it was
no,
a
I
moment.
know, and it happens in comics. But yeah, this is my first. I know she's done more movies since. But yes, this is going above Lift and right underneath Tag because I did enjoy Tag. As absurd as that is, I at least laughed a lot more at Tag than I did at Kind of Pregnant.
Tag.
So,
So a surprising movie this year. Tag. It keeps getting brought up.
well, because the last two movies I kind of talked about, or a few of the last movies, it's right underneath it, and the whole thing is yes, the premise is absurd, but it's kind of original, and I can at least appreciate that. I'm not going to say they did it well because what can you do with it? But Kind of Pregnant's under Tag. And like I said, it is above Lift, which
Hmm.
should tell you that Amy Schumer beat out Kevin Hart in my eyes. At
So
least,
that's that grouping. Yeah, the
it,
Tag,
it,
Kind of
yes.
Pregnant, and Lift grouping. That's all together there at the
And then
bottom.
there's just Under the Bed right at the bottom. So
Yeah, it's gonna stay there.
it probably will.
It's gonna stay
I
there.
still believe I am going to watch something shittier than it because I know
Okay.
sooner or later I'm just going to have that Tubi run. I'm like, let's check this out. That's how I got to Under the Bed. So it's going to happen. Maybe not, but I feel
I
it is.
hope
So
not. Jesus, I don't want to watch what's worse than Under the Bed.
you don't have to watch what I watch. So that's the best
No,
part
well,
about
I
this.
did say that if there was something that was worse than Under the Bed, then I would watch it
You
because
did,
I'd
but you know
have
what?
to
We don't
know.
have to keep our word. It's okay.
But you know me, I have to keep my word. Just kind of like we've
No, I
discussed with
get it.
other Ryan Gosling films that has a little bit of a preview to the future. So
But yeah, so that's how I wanted to start off with watching a rom com, and
mm.
yeah, I know it. I like again, you're gonna get a few laughs out of it depending on your taste, but overall, yeah, this is just again, you see the formula there. It's kind of absurd, like okay, a fake pregnancy, and I know some people are gonna take offense to that. Whatever, but overall, yeah,
People get offended
it
by
did
that.
not hit the mark.
I don't know why people get offended by it. I mean, offended by a stupid ass premise, sure, but
Well,
yeah.
you never know.
I mean, Happy Madison movies are what they are. Even hearing about the Zamboni reminds me of Happy Gilmore because I think there's like a scene where he's like on a hockey rink and he's uh, playing Endless Love with the lead like romance thing there. So I don't know. I'm sure it's cute. I'm sure it's whatever. I mean, your review certainly didn't sell me on it. I think I'll kind of pass on this one.
Yeah, if we're at a bar drinking and we're talking about this, we're like, Soda, don't watch this. Again, you can,
I don't know.
mind you, you could
Yeah,
be drunk. Like, let's see how bad, because it's going to happen sooner or later. We're going to watch some of the same movies.
well, yeah, for sure.
I mean, we're going through 200, and we try. When I know we try to plan it. It doesn't always work out, but it's okay. Like I said, but yeah, Soda, if you want to skip this, I would not blame you. Everyone should skip this, But now people might be like, "Well, it can't be that bad." I love Amy Schumer. No, it's bad. You're gonna
Like,
laugh at it if you.
would you recommend like a couple to watch this, like on a Friday night where they got nothing else going on? Like, is this a good movie for a couple to watch?
No, watch Terrifier 2.
Holy shit! No, don't do that. Don't do that. I don't ever want my wife to watch Terrifier 2. I hope she never does. Like, she's too innocent of a human being to have to lay her eyes upon such disgustingness. I never turned my eyes away from Terrifier 2. I wanted to. Uh and I watched the whole entire thing, but like we said before, I'm not looking forward to Terrifier 3. I know we're gonna have to do it. And it'll probably be towards the back end of this because it'll be right around Christmas time. I could just
And it'll
feel it.
probably
It's
be
like
free by then.
destined.
Yeah, yeah.
But you recommend Terrifier 2 over Kind of Pregnant. That's a vibe.
Yeah, yeah. So anyhow, Soto, let's go on to your first movie. What did you watch for this Valentine's week? I mean, it's the season. What is your first movie?
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about Valentine's until probably like today, which is the day before. But Yeah, I just turned it on. I wanted to see something random, and so I have never seen any of the newer Godzilla movies, and I didn't really even look it up. I just kind of saw that it was on. I don't even know what streaming it was on, but I saw the movie Godzilla Minus One, and I went into it just really not expecting anything. I kind of wanted to watch something that, uh, you could just kind of turn your mind off of and just watch. And I was stunned by what I ended up watching because it was, if I could describe it succinctly, I would say that it was an amazing character movie that just happened to have Godzilla in it. Now, Godzilla, of course, very metaphoric in this movie. It's about basically it's about the main character. He lands his plane. He's a kamikaze fighter in World War II, and he lands his plane on an island with the mechanics there that fix these planes. And it's under the pretense that he's landing his plane because there's something wrong with it, but it actually turns out that he deserted the war and was trying to run away from it. Didn't want to give up his life for no reason. It was like at the end of the war. But the Japanese at that time and culture in general is very about honor. Um, and making sure that it's better to die with honor. And of course, I'm not trying um, to say that I know anything about Japanese culture. I don't, just from the outside looking in for the purpose of this story. So he's kind of deserter. And as he's dealing with that on the island with these Japanese mechanics as well, they run into Godzilla there. And to kind of compile on his desertion, Godzilla, in a much smaller version, Godzilla ends up killing all of the mechanics in the island, and they'd asked him to shoot Godzilla with his plane that was there, and he freezes up and he gets scared again and is unable to pull the trigger. He wakes up and everybody's dead there except for one guy, and really the protagonist just kind of ends up carrying this weight all the way till he returns back to Tokyo. And at that time, Tokyo had been devastated by the United States in firebombing. So nothing's left. His parents are killed. He comes back. His neighbor's like, I thought you were a kamikaze fighter. Why are you alive? And then he ends up running into a woman that is caring for a child. It's not her child. It's just that everything was blown up and chaotic. This is real history. And this woman randomly finds this baby, and then they kind of haphazardly have a family together that's just trying to get through it. Meanwhile, in the background, Godzilla is getting bigger and bigger in the ocean and becoming a menace. And so the whole premise is, just this post World War II devastation in Japan, how this pilot is dealing with his survivor's guilt while also dealing with being a coward and kind of feeling like he died in the war and not understanding if he was still alive. Uh, a lot of feelings of just these kind of things. And then the family that you have, whether or not if it's blood or if it's the one that you choose, there's all these amazing, fantastic themes throughout this movie that I was not expecting at all. And I was stunned at just how much heart this movie had. On top of that, the special effects are fucking amazing. I won an Academy Award for the special effects too.
Did it? I don't know.
Best Godzilla movie I've ever seen. I haven't seen a lot of Godzilla movies outside of when I was a little kid. I would watch Godzilla versus Mothra, shit like that. But this was hands down the best Godzilla movie I've ever seen. One of the best movies I've ever seen. Just the way that it handled everything, the way it wrapped up, just the story, the vibe, everything about this movie was great. And you come into a movie and you're not really expecting something, right? We've talked about this before. You see a trailer and you kind of develop your own sort of preconceived notions onto a movie, and that can kind of end up whether you're disappointed in a movie or whether you end up being surprised. But I'm going to watch this movie again. I'm going to probably buy this movie on Blu-ray.
Ooh.
This is going to be a movie that's going to be part of my library. It even opens up. It even ends open-ended for a sequel as well, while still wrapping up a really fantastic character journey and story. And I just, again, biggest surprise of the year for me so far. And the most enjoyable movie that I've watched this year, too. It really impacted me. And this movie shot directly to number one above Lawrence Arabia
Wow.
for this year. It just was such a surprise out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting anything out of this movie. And it just had a really great story. And again, it's got the historical sort of background, but it's about the main character's journey and how he comes to terms with who he is, his newfound family, how he fits into society, and how he ends up finding a reason to keep living after all these things have happened with Godzilla around. So, again, it's just Godzilla puts the metaphor of the weight of everything that he's carrying around and the weight of everything that's going on in Japan and all that. It's done in a very, very good way, and not in like a cheesy way, I thought, not in a cringy way. It's done very authentically, and I just enjoyed the shit out of it.
Well, damn, number one, I never would have expected, because I do remember a lot of the old school Godzilla films, and you're right,
Of
they're
course.
cheesily done, but they are seem to be classics. And then they have whatever the mid '90s one with Matthew Broderick, which I was like, this is shit.
Yeah,
But like
that's
you,
right.
I thought about seeing some new Godzilla. Like I did save, I think it was Godzilla versus King Kong. I don't know if I'll get to it, but I was like, all right, maybe I'll watch this, because I was kind of intrigued of how the new generation's going with these monster movies. So, but Godzilla Minus One, number one
Number
on your
one.
list,
Yeah, well
and
done.
you're buying it physically.
I'm gonna end up buying this movie. There's no doubt about it. This is a movie that I'm gonna have physical media of in my library. Yeah, it's just, again, it wasn't. It didn't do anything new. Again, outside of the special effects, which were fantastic. Um, I just thought it was a really good story, and we talk about it all the time. You just want a movie to to set up the rules of the universe and to finish that rules nicely. And it was just, I found it incredibly satisfying to watch. I can't wait to watch it again. It might not be for everybody. Again, this is a Godzilla movie. Uh, I saw it in Japanese with English subtitles. Not everybody's cup of tea, but to kind of reiterate, so much heart in this movie.
But you don't expect in a Godzilla movie.
No, I certainly wasn't expecting that. Not at all.
Wow. Well, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Number one for a Godzilla movie. So
I didn't think that Godzilla
I
was better
beats
than
out Lawrence Arabia. So
but
yeah, that's
from talking like pure enjoyment, I enjoyed the shit out of it. Lawrence Arabia, obviously Academy Award winning legendary film. Cinematography is fantastic. It's 4 hours long. I don't know if I'd say that's enjoyable. And I think that the most important thing with this list and what we talked about is, did we enjoy it? What level did we enjoy this at? Did this hit the right notes for us personally? Because we've talked about it. Movies are subjective, and things tend to hit you at certain points, and kind of your history will kind of inform whether you like that kind of movie. I'm not saying that everybody's going to watch Godzilla Minus One and be like, this is a legendary movie. But if you like really well written stories, and you like really, really good special effects, and you like a little bit of history too, this is a great recommendation. Definitely check it out.
all right, Soto. I did see one more movie this week.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go gimmicky. Now, I did a romantic comedy. Now, I was trying to think of a romantic movie. Now, I can't watch The Notebook because I've already seen it. But you should watch The Notebook. You should put it on this,
Right.
This year. This is going to happen now
It's
that
gonna
you've
happen.
gone on this Ryan Gosling.
He's dreamy.
I was going to say fanboy crush, but you know what? All
He's
joking
dreamy.
aside. So I was trying to figure out something because I didn't want another romantic comedy, especially not after Kind of Pregnant. I was like, all right, find me an actual romantic movie. And as I was kind of going through and searching, I went old school. The first movie I saw was the newest movie. This is the oldest movie I've done for our list, Soto.
Wow.
Now, I have seen older because there's a lot of classics I've seen, but I went to 1957
Hmm.
and I saw An Affair to Remember with Cary Grant.
Wow. How long was
I
this?
How long the movie was? Only not even 2 hours. It was, I think, officially it was an hour 50 maybe. So yeah, it wasn't long. This is maybe hour 40, hour 50. So yeah, I was like, okay, this isn't like a 3 or 4 hour love story. No, this is a very typical love story. It's actually a remake of a 1939 movie called Love Affair, which Cary Grant was offered the role, and he turned it down at that time for reasons. But he was visiting the director on set, and he actually kind of felt bad. He's like, I should have done this movie. He's looking like, this is really good. So he asked them to remake him almost whatever. I think it's like almost 20 years later, and they did. But a lot of romance movies get their tropes from this movie,
Hmm.
and I didn't fully realize it. So the premise is Cary Grant. It's kind of like the playboy type, he's got some money. He's engaged to someone who's like getting a huge inheritance in France, I think it is. And so he's taking a yacht. He's taking basically a boat trip back from France to Boston, coming back to the States. And he meets another woman, played by Deborah Kerr. I don't really know too much, but her name's Terry in the movie, who she's also engaged to a wealthy man. But he's not on the boat. So these two people are taking basically the same boat from France to the United States. Chance encounters happen. They realize how much more they're alike than the fiancés they're with. And you see
Classic.
slowly, and it's they slowly fall in love. And then Terry's like, we can't do this, stay away from me, I don't want to go that extra mile, I don't want us to fall in love. But the chance happens, and everyone on the cruise is also looking like, oh, you two, kind of like, what's happening. So they're just trying to stay away from the public eye. They're trying to make so nothing happens, but obviously sparks do fly. Now, mind you, this movie's 1957. They're not showing a lot. um so what happens is they do obviously end up kind of falling in love, and because they're also talking about their past,
Hmm.
like he gave up painting, to be with his, kind of this new life, and she gave up singing. And so they're like, why do we give up our dreams? Why did we, do what we, so they come up with the idea that in 6 months time they are going to meet on top of the Empire State Building at they have the date and certain time. In the 6 months, their goal is obviously, unfortunately, separate from their current fiancés, but not just that, to go back and get a job with what they love. So she goes back to Boston, and she kind of slowly becomes a singer, like doing selling out those kind of nightclubs and stuff like that. And he's doing paintings and trying to sell them. He hired a guy, so it's not just about, hey, let's just leave our current, people and just move on together. So they're like, we need to make a life. We need to ourselves to be happy. Which again, for a 1950s movies, I'm like, okay, this is different but impressive.
Pretty progressive, yeah.
And then, so the day comes, 6 months. Cary Grant is at the top of the Empire State Building. He's all giddy because the whole thing is they're going to get married, like they know. And as she's going to the Empire State Building, she's looking up as she's crossing the street and gets hit by a car and
God.
is paralyzed.
No.
So he's up there thinking that maybe obviously something happened, like she didn't love him anymore, or, kind of just maybe changed her mind about him. So he waits until midnight. But this whole time she's, obviously recovering. So after that, and I'm going to kind of maybe spoil this movie a little bit because I don't think you're ever going to go watch it. So she doesn't want to reach out to him because she doesn't want him to see her like this.
Hmm.
And weirdly enough, like the fiance she broke up with, he kind of is helping her. Like he knows this, she's in love with him. He's like, let me go talk to him. Let me explain it to him. She's like, no, don't. But he's helping her, drive and stuff like that. And he's like, well, why don't we go enjoy a play? Let's just go out, get you out in the limelight. And Cary Grant happens to be at the play too, sees her there with him, and kind of thinks twice about it. Like, oh, this is why she didn't come see me, because she stayed with him, so there's a little resentment there. But obviously at the end, he finds out where she lives and visits her, and she's not getting off the couch. Now, Cary Grant doesn't know she's paralyzed yet, obviously. Everything's kind of, because at the theater, she was kind of sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not yelling at her like, what would you do if this happened? And again, she doesn't want him to know. And he's about to leave because he's just thinking, like, she just doesn't want to be with me. And he tells the story about how he painted her, with this piece of clothing. And it dawns on him. He's like, yeah, I didn't feel like I could sell it. And the seller, the person that's representing me, saw this poor woman come in, and he stops the story. Like, he realized it was her that came in, because the story was like a woman in a wheelchair
Mm-hmm.
came in, and he ended up giving her the picture, and he kind of busts into her bedroom, sees it. Then obviously they fall in love. He's like, what happened? And he's like, I would have understood. And obviously then it ends. But it's again, for its time,
Yeah.
because again, there's no cell phones, no social media, because you can be like, oh shit, she got hit by a car, like, I gotta go see her, because he had no clue. So if you take the fact that it was in the 50s, like, this is actually a really good movie, Soto. And again, the meeting on top of Empire State Building, the meeting someone that is more right for you than the person a lot of the tropes and movies that we see stem to this, and I'm like, all right, I was in it. It was a very simplistic movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say it was the greatest movie I watched. It's not number one like it made your list. It's towards the top. I would put this above Scream 6, which puts it right before, no, but right under Les Mis. So it's like under Les Mis, and because above Scream 6. That's kind of where it is. Which 1, 2, 3? It's number 6 on my list, basically.
Scream 6. Wow. It's like, but Les Mis you enjoyed more.
Yes. Oh, yes. I did, and there's just it was a more powerful movie, and like I said, the singing and Anne Hathaway was great, and yes, an Affair to Remember. I had to take in the fact it was, again, a 50s movie. It's not like they could do a lot. Cary Grant was just great. The chemistry between these two are great. So it is a really good love story. It's again, for the time, it's not something that could be remade today without a huge update on the story. So yeah, I did enjoy it. Les Mis, I just felt was a little bit more of a powerful movie than this, and
Mm-hmm.
again, there was a lot more going on. This one just it very focused on these two. There wasn't that many side characters outside of these two. So yeah, I think it was a good classic. It didn't blow my mind, but I was in it. Like, I was like, all right, I'm enjoying this, because you never know, especially when you watch the older stuff, because a lot of it doesn't age well.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it just doesn't. And I know we tend to we watch a lot of that because that's our personalities. We like it, but I get like the average viewer can be like, oh, so yeah, it's not like there's a lot happening, but the chemistry between these two very much carried this movie, and you just felt it. And like I said, I enjoyed it. That's why it's towards the top, like top half of my list. It's not falling below the Terrifiers or Beetlejuice down that bottom there.
Right.
So it was good. It's just, like I said, it's nothing that you know it was good for what it was, and that's the best thing I can say about it. It's not like I am going to go watch it again, but like I said, for a 1957 movie, I enjoyed it. It was good. So
Affair to Remember.
and Affair to Remember.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but yeah, again, I know not a lot of people can talk about it. It was just there on Netflix. I'm like, I am going to finish off. I need a romantic movie, and there it was. So Soto, I've done 2 movies for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
What was your second movie? So you did nothing for no,
I did nothing.
But in all seriousness, what did you?
I did
what
nothing for Valentine's Day. I thought about The Notebook, but I didn't do it.
I was trying to edge you that way. I'm like, come on, watch The Notebook, but that's all right.
I thought about it. I really did. It's coming. I think I got to watch more Ryan Gosling movies. I think it's going to be a crescendo that happens when I sit down and watch The Notebook. So the second movie that I watched was The Menu. Movie came out in 2022 with Ray Fiennes and Anya Taylor-Joy. Yeah, I know this movie is on your list, and I'll tell you right now, I think you're gonna like it. I found this movie to be fucking hysterical. It's very dark. Basically, the premise is that everybody gets invited to this very exclusive restaurant on this island with a very exclusive chef, and it's a mix of celebrities, and other sort of important, people that are being invited to this. I think a critic is there too. They get invited to this, multiple course meal. And then there's the outsider, which is character Margot, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. And they all go to this dinner, and it starts off normal, and then things start to slowly go towards the more horror and the dark side of things. And so there's definitely a very much kind of like like there's tension there because things get more and more kind of like disturbing. But the overall message of just pretentious ass people and their opinions about food, uh, as it starts to unravel, it becomes really good. I thought this movie was fucking wild, and there were a lot of times that I laughed my ass off during this as well. So again, I think it's very well done. I think it's a little bit on the absurd side, but I enjoyed this movie all the way through. I enjoyed the performances. Ray Fiennes was great as the main character, as the chef, Slowick. And just again, as things start to kind of slowly unravel and go towards that dark side, I found it to be incredibly enjoyable and super satisfied at the end as well, which is what I asked for a movie. So yeah, I know this is on your list, so I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah, before you give us your ranking, yeah, because I've seen this even like I said within the last year, and I mentioned this with the Northman. She was in Queen's Gambit, and I fucking love that.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I was planning on seeing it earlier this week, actually, too, but then I had to see a fair to remember. But then, all joking aside, it's funny because on TikTok, through no fault of my own, a clip came up from
Yes.
this real quick, and I know they that's what they do. They put those clips out there to get you hooked.
Yeah,
but it's the one where she said she was saving her appetite, and he was like, "That's it. All the proportions are masterfully, whatever." And I'm
Yes.
like, I kind of didn't want to see more, and I do know it's a horror comedy, so I know there's a little bit more to this than what was presented. I'm like, all right, I'm intrigued, and yes, Ray Fiennes is great too. So yeah, it is definitely on my list. Who knows? I might get this to next week and we'll just do a quick wrap up on it.
Yeah.
But where on your list do you think you rank The Menu?
Yeah, so I have it ranked actually at number 7. I have it underneath Terrifier 2 and just above, oddly enough, The Northman. I think if you like her and you like her brand of acting, she's essentially the main character / outsider in this kind of I guess foodie sort of society. I was very surprised to see John Leguizamo in this. When I saw John Leguizamo, I was like, "This is fucking great." But I enjoyed the shit out of it. It's right. This is a great movie. I will probably watch this again, which is to say a lot. The Northman, I thought, was very well done. Obviously, I've talked about Robert Eggers and how I feel about him. But The Menu was super entertaining, and if you have a dark sense of humor, and you like Ray Fiennes and Anya Taylor-Joy, you're gonna like this movie. And there are some moments that I don't want to spoil it, but there are some moments that I absolutely pissed my pants laughing at during this whole entire thing. Is it a perfect movie? No. Most of the movies that we like aren't perfect movies, but is this a movie that I'd be more than happy to watch again? Is it good for multiple viewings? 100%. These movies like this tend to be good for multiple viewings because they're all about how it's going to end. And then when you do get to the end, you're like, okay, cool. I want to see now how it was done. Very much like Usual Suspects or Memento. Once you know the end of it, you're like, okay, great. I don't have that tension of wondering what it's going to happen. So now I can watch it again and I can say, okay, now that I know what's going to happen, show me the process. And for me, I tend to enjoy movies more on second viewings. I haven't done that a lot with any movies on this list because obviously, given our lives, it's tough to even jam these movies into our personal lives. But, I'm starting to identify the movies that I would be like, yeah, I would watch that again if I wasn't trying to jam in brand new movies. And, again, I enjoyed the shit out of The Menu and definitely recommend it. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, I might hopefully get to it next week. So
You'll like it.
Like I said, I did want to watch it this past week, and I did do the gimmicky route because I'm kind of pregnant and afraid to remember.
Good for you.
But I had to. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to commit to this because I'm not going to have a lot of rom coms and romantic movies on my list overall. But I had to get a couple because I want the diversity of just how we rank it. So,
Yeah.
but it's funny you mentioned not having time for movies, but surprisingly for you, you got to a third movie soda.
A long
What was
one
your
too.
third? Was it well? What was it in? How long was it?
Well, it was like 2 hours and 19 minutes. And so the third movie that I watched this week was Free State of Jones. It's a movie that came out in 2016 starring Matthew McConaughey and Mahershala Ali. Um, Obviously, I love Matthew McConaughey. True Detective is one of my favorite TV shows of all time, the first season specifically. But it's a historical drama. Obviously, it takes place during, towards the end of the Civil War in Mississippi. Matthew McConaughey's character of Newton Knight sort of kind of develops his own little corner of Mississippi where he has deserters and runaway slaves, and they kind of make their own little place out in the swamp. And so uh, it's just kind of showing what it was like at the end of the Civil War, what it was like with the Confederates, and sort of what it was for them to kind of band together and kind of fight back for their own freedoms. And then also what their relationship was with the Union. You know, the Union obviously promised certain things to the freed slaves. For example, they had promised the 40 acres and a mule, which General Sherman actually ended up offering to the slaves to give them a kind of head start and get them going. But when Andrew Jackson took over after, he immediately rescinded that. But, at its core, it's a movie about being free, and it's not exactly historically accurate as we've seen versus with movies. Obviously in Hollywood there's always going to be some embellishment, but I thought it was all right. It was a reasonable movie. I've never been big on historical movies, as I've told you. I'm kind of iffy on them. They tend to run long, they tend to kind of be bland. Oppenheimer being the one that I watched earlier this year, which is kind of a whatever movie in Christopher Nolan's catalog for me, but that's a whole other thing. But I thought Free State of Jones was good. Wasn't great. It is what it is. It told the story. Story ended way longer than I wanted to be. I kind of felt myself checking my watch and checking the time like towards the last 45 minutes because I'm just like, oh man. But I was interested because I like the idea of that time frame. I like the idea of fighting for freedom and watching that. And if you want to watch a movie where Matthew McConaughey is like one of your favorite actors, and you just want to watch a movie where Matthew McConaughey is the hero, and he doesn't really learn anything, but he's just Matthew McConaughey, and he's just cool, and he ends up like kind of just always like kind of figuring a way out and all that stuff. And you just want to watch a movie that just has one of your favorite actors kind of just succeed without any real tension. That's Free State of Jones for me. And so, kind of given the way that I felt about it, I ranked it down. I ranked it just a spot below Oppenheimer. And above, obviously, I saw the TV glow. That's the kind of tier of movie this is. Historical drama, kind of longer than it needs to be. And, a movie that I probably will never see again. I have no reason to see this movie. A buddy of mine was like, I like Free State of Jones. He's like, if it's on TV, I'll end up watching it. That's the Shawshank rule for me. Free State of Jones does not fall into that. It's not in any way a bad review of Free State of Jones. It's just that there are some movies that you're kind of like, okay, yeah, like, all right, history, okay, some emotion, the end. And that's Free State of Jones. That was like my add-on for the week. So nothing more to say about it. Just kind of unremarkable.
Well, it's funny. Yeah, you mentioned Matthew McConaughey, and I was a big fan of a lot of his earlier work, I guess. Like I remember movies like Frailty, Contact. I'm trying to remember one in particular that I was A Time to Kill.
Great. Great
That one
performance.
I love that
Legendary
one. He was
performance.
great. And
Yes.
like that era, then I don't know when, it's probably when he started doing romantic comedies, because I remember he had like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and all that
Yeah.
shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say he became a joke,
We did.
but
Yeah. He
it
even
was
said that
just
too.
like, um, and I know he's done some good movies since then, more recently as well. But yeah, like that's like that era, my Matthew McConaughey. I guess when the actors are trying, that's when they're at their best. When they become famous, they're like, I can phone it in. Um,
Yeah.
but
With
he
him,
can be good when he wants to be.
True Detective, it is a TV show. I know that you have I believe you have Max.
I do.
Uh, True Detective is his greatest performance. It's him and Woody Harrelson uh, and Matthew McConaughey. It is the best single season of television I've ever seen in my life. It's only 8 episodes long. They're hour-long segments, and it is like just out of control amazing. I watch it once every single year. And it was Matthew McConaughey kind of trying to get over that whole how to lose a guy in 10 days thing, and kind of turn more towards the dramatic side. And he has those moments in this movie in 2016. Don't get me wrong. They're definitely there. And it goes towards that. Even nowadays, I think he's kind of more towards, you think of Matthew McConaughey as more of a dramatic actor. It started in True Detective. I mean, his portrayal of Rustin Cole in True Detective is like fucking iconic, and a performance I will never forget because it's just so fucking badass and crazy. Some of the best shit I've ever seen. Which is probably why I saw Free State of Jones. But I'm gonna leave Free State of Jones on number 12, and that's pretty much where it's gonna be. It's gonna just hang out with Oppenheimer and the historical epics that I find bloated and ultimately whatever.
It happens.
It does.
But so do that's episode 6 in a nutshell. We did 5 movies.
I'm in a
Proud of
nutshell.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
no,
know.
we did it, and there's going to be more to come. I got some more ideas down the pipeline. I like surprising myself too. There are some movies that I will kind of look forward to, like I'll hear about, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, I want to see that. I've got some movies that I definitely want to hit this year. I'm trying not to pay for movies, although I want to, because there's movies like The Substance and Anya, and these kind of movies that are competing with Amelia Perez for Oscars, that they are available to rent. But I'm kind of like, I hesitate being like, do I want to just start watching movies that I'm paying for? That just seems kind of, I don't know. I mean, I will if I have to, but with Amelia Perez, at least it was free and ended up being one of the surprises of the year. So
Yeah, it's number 1 on my list so far. So we'll see how long it stays there, but
and mine is
it all
Godzilla.
depends on which. Godzilla!
Godzilla and Amelia Perez, number 1 movie so far of 2025, and it's February 13th.
Yep. But anyhow, that will do it for the episode 6 of 200 movie challenge. If you have anything to say about those 5 movies, let us know what you thought. And as usual, if there's a movie we should see, leave a comment.
Yes.
Because if we haven't seen it, we will. That's how I saw Lift.
It's got to be free. It's got to be free.
It's got to be free.
Free.
It's always going to be free. And, one of us will probably try and squeeze it in. And yeah, that's what I did with Lift. And Lift is the second worst movie I've seen this year.
God, I don't want to see that.
Underbed is the only thing worse.
I can't believe it. I can't believe we have a whole year with so many more opportunities for you to watch something worse than Under the Bed.
It's going to happen. I know it is. I'm scared. Just because, again, like you said, I do have my list, things I saved that I know I'm going to see sometime this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to see this. I'm going to, this is a great opportunity. But like you, sometimes you just on one of your streaming sites and you're just searching and like what jumps out. It's a kind of, how I got to Kind of Pregnant. I'm like, let me just go to Netflix. Obviously, it was plastered all over because it's one of the newest things. I'm like, all right, well, this is the newest rom-com. I got to check it out.
It was all over.
Kind of sad that I did, but you know what? At least I can say I did. We used to watch 7 Rentals, and I used to watch everything that came out beforehand, and that was my life. And now it's like I gotta watch some of this shit too. I gotta let people know it's shit.
Well, it's like just hit play. Like I've been thinking about watching The Menu for forever. I'm like, I'm seeing clips of it. I've seen it. It was in Netflix, and I just said fuck it, and I hit play. Just hit play on the movie. Like hit play, let it play out. It might suck. It might be the best movie you've ever seen. You don't know until you fucking hit play.
That's just the tagline right there. We're gonna leave it at that.
Just hit play.
Have a good one. Just you'll never know until you hit fucking play.
You don't.
All right. Have a good one and go watch some movies and just hit fucking play.
Hit play, baby.